But first up, I will have Karen Ross, who is currently serving as Secretary for our California Department of Agriculture, appointed by Governor Jerry Brown. Following her will be another Governor Brown appointment, Gordon Burns, who is the Undersecretary for the California Environmental Protection Agency. And then last, but very much not least, Perry Klassen, who is with the East San Joaquin Valley Agricultural Water Quality Coalition, who's going to really bring us that on-the-ground perspective. So with that, Karen, I'm going to turn the mic over to you. You can sit or whatever.
Oh.
It's up to you.
Well, I need to get my energy going, so I feel like I need to stand up. But that was really good. Give her a hand. And I'm not sure that I have anything left to add to that because she gave such a comprehensive framework of what's going on in California. Just the cone of silence here, what she said about that stupidity of the only 2%. I can't say that, but
I can. That's why I left government service.
It's
so
very frustrating. But I am not a scientist, but I'm probably the biggest cheerleader for science because I know how important it is for us to have good policy. And for us to make good policy sends the signals to the marketplace that really unleash innovation. So I'm going to give more of a very high-level overview of what led to the passage of SGMA. But I want to step back for a moment and really reinforce something that Thomas said because it is so important. If we stay where we are and only work on the problems for the perspective of where we are, we will never get to the long-lasting solutions that we need. We are part of a bigger world. Now, given the political situation today, you might think that we all need to resort back to our tribes and only stay where we are. But I'm here to tell you, after spending last week in Israel, how important it is for us to find all those places that share very similar challenges and the opportunities that will come to all of us if we do this. Yesterday, I was listening to NPR, and they were talking about the 10th anniversary of the Arab Spring. And they said this was about a lot of people who didn't have jobs, who didn't have hope, who literally just wanted a job. They wanted bread. And they just stopped and they said, literally, they just wanted bread. Food security does not happen without water. Yes, agriculture, food production, uses the vast majority of the world's water supply. And we know that groundwater, regardless of the continent, is an important supply of that water for food production. We also know that 40% of the global landmass is on dry lands. Mediterranean climates, other places that we could say, no, people should not be there, but in fact, a large proportion of the world's population is living on those dry lands and has to find a way to farm. We know that farming and food production can be the first step out of poverty, and all of this goes together for preventing civil unrest. Yes, I'm here to tell you that we can be a part of delivering world peace. So remember that and keep up the good work. Here in California, we have known that historically groundwater in some communities can make up as much as 100% of the water supply for drinking in many communities. We know that historically in California, groundwater has made up approximately 30% of the water supply for food production and agricultural production. Our last drought, after many years of cutbacks in our surface water supply because of court decisions, regulatory changes, the understanding of making up for environmental impacts that we didn't realize were happening when we built our system, that as we lost more and more of our surface water, we were becoming even more dependent on groundwater. So that instead of 30%, moving up to 46%, which is what we had used for groundwater in previous droughts, in this current drought, groundwater, we are relying on groundwater for about 60% of our total water supply. In 2014, and this is because of the UC Davis Economic Impact Report that we did, we had approximately a 35% reduction in the delivery of surface water to agricultural communities. that means 8.7 million acre feet. We compensated for that shortage with 6 million acre feet of groundwater, but we still had a deficit of 2.7 million acre feet. That resulted in a $2.7 billion economic impact, the loss of 21,000 jobs, the fallowing of 540,000 acres. That is not sustainable. And the fear was that in 2013, when we started talking about should we pursue sustainable groundwater management, was that pursuing something as complex as that in the heat of a crisis, a drought, could lead to faulty policy. We were taking a big step. Governor Brown had convened a task force when he was governor in 1976 that had laid out recommendations. He got beat up over that. And so one of the most important meetings we had early in the year was with the governor about, is this the right time to pursue that? I am not ashamed to say that I was very strong in supporting pursuing legislation at that time, because I felt that if we did not pursue sustainable groundwater management legislation, we were going to lose the reservoir that would mean we could continue to be a contributor to food security for the future, that we had to take advantage of that moment. But I also knew that in this administration, because we're taking a more integrated resource management approach, we're trying to get people out of the silos. We had done the Water Action Plan. We had the people and the intellect, and he's sitting right here, to help us write good policy. So it passed, and now the hard work has begun. I will tell you that having spent a lot of time with many of the agricultural leaders who are also leaders in their irrigation districts across the state, this is hard. If it was easy, we would have done it before. And I've said this from the beginning, one of the most important sciences to be at the table is social sciences. We are asking people from all perspectives in a local community to come together to develop a governance structure that they all trust, that they all feel their voice is a part of, and that they will be willing to go along with the decisions of that governance body. There is nothing easy about that, because once they develop the governance structure, this is the group with community input, scientific input, lots of data, will then create the plan. And at the end of the day, decisions about how much water you have for your farm and your livelihood, how much water is available that's clean and safe for your drinking, how much water is available to create the atmosphere for the reason you wanted to live in a rural area. Everyone's going to be impacted. There's nothing easy about that. But I believe that we have the tools in place, the support from the Department of Water Resources in providing data, modeling, satellite imaging. The department is also providing in-kind facilitation for all of the groups that are trying to do this. We're working very hard to help at the local level with the funding issues, because at the end of the day, because of our 218 problem, being able to spend money on this has to have a direct nexus to what they're collecting the fees for. There are big challenges around doing this, institutional challenges, legal challenges, financial challenges. But at the end of the day, science must feed into the policy that we're setting. And that the magic happens when we come together for the right investment to create the right infrastructure, that we have policy that gives the right signals for behavioral change, for marketplace change, for innovation changes. But one of the most important things we can do working together is to create the incentive packages to help make this come together. Doing this all top-down does not work as well as partnering with landowners to show that our definition of agriculture is much too narrow. When we think about agriculture in the 21st century and even transitioning to the 22nd century, we are talking about a bio-based economy, a green economy of being able to grow solutions for all the different kinds of inputs that we have, of being able to create ecosystems that are healthy, that create economic benefit, that save species, that create biodiversity. That is possible if we have the right set of incentives and we do partnerships with landowners. So, the work that you do, remember, is related to water security, that helps us achieve food security, that helps us take people out of poverty, and at the end of the day will create world peace. Keep up the good work.